This episode of Black Clover, ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Black Clover is exactly why it is my favorite arc of Black Clover that we have seen so far. I'm talking about the manga, and we have only scratched the surface. The animation, the storyboarding, how they all did it for this episode is truly overwhelming. And I would have to say, this episode is really based on romance. But at the exact same time, I think by far, just from animation and what we know from Black Clover, is probably my favorite episode. And I just want to say, I want to give them a round of applause for this because I love this episode watching all the way through it. Mars' backstory a little bit more detailed because we know about Mars and his character. We knew from the dungeon arc, but this goes a lot deeper into his relationship with Fauna. And it is just truly beautiful. Such a good episode. And let's dive right into it. So how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is, of course, Ranger Flame. Welcome everyone to my Black Clover episode 61 anime review. In this episode, guys, we get the final battle between Fauna. No, it hasn't ended yet. The Black Bulls have not defeated her, but this episode concludes it with the help, of course, of Old Man Zell, Fan Zell, whatever you want to call him, or what Asta calls him, and the help of Mars. So yes, we get Mars deep down in this episode. This is why he is part of the Witch Arc. This is his segment. This is why kind of the Diamond Kingdom is in this episode. And it's a weird turn of events because now we have Mars helping the Black Bulls take down Fauna, or rescuing Fauna, because yes, as you know from Fauna, this is Mars' childhood friend. This is the person that he fell in love with. This is, of course, the girl that we knew from Mars' backstory from the dungeon arc, and of course it explores more of that into this episode. But weird turn of events because Mars was the villain. This is the guy that was potentially going to kill Yuno in the dungeon arc, while Asta, of course, was facing him, to an ally with Asta, trying to take down the enemy before she completely evaporates the witch forest. So this episode right here, like I said before in the starting of this video, focuses, of course, on, Mars saving Fauna, because the backstory about all of this was, of course, Mars actually killing, or thought he killed Fauna during, of course, that Battle Royale ceremony. Because I want to go a little bit more detail. I talked about this in the dungeon arc, and we know about Mars' backstory and everything like that. But of course, Mars and Fauna and Fanzel and Lattice and all of them were part of the Diamond Kingdom. When you're young in the Diamond Kingdom want a specific warrior or warriors for, of course, their place. Because when they had these special warriors, they could easily brainwash them and make them these strong slaves against the Clover Kingdom. And when him and Fauna were together at part of this academy, there's only one winner. And we've seen through the backstory and more explained to this episode that once they've kind of control or go through these tests, there's always that one final step. And that final step was a sole survivor. This is like the Hunger Games, for example. You have 30 kids going into, this small place with their magical powers, but only one person can be left standing to become this ultimate warrior for the Diamond Kingdom. And since we know the backstory, of course, Fauna, she wanted to attack Mars specifically because Mars fell in love with Fauna. And the backstory between all this was that, these kids in the Diamond Kingdom, they didn't have a family. No one loved them. They were by themselves from the very beginning, going into these kind of exams or tests, and then afterwards had to kill each other. So for Mars, it was a complete different story, because when Mars is alone and feeling sad, Fauna was the only person, and I'm not talking about Zell, by the way. I'm not talking about the teachings about that. I'm talking about kind of like a real connection right here. Fauna was the girl supporting Mars from the beginning, and that was the first time that Mars actually fell in love and actually had someone to care about, because when he was going through these exams, he didn't have anything to think about. That's why he was always tired and exhausted. But Fauna gave, Mars that advice, saying if you have someone that you really care about, think about them, and that will give you strength and hope. And Mars finally found that in his life until it got all shattered and ruined for that final test that he had to kill Fauna. He didn't want to. Fauna used her magic to go after Mars, and since Mars, uses magic to, defend himself, he thought he killed Fauna. And this completely destroyed Mars from the inside and as a person, because as a person, this haunted him throughout the rest of his life. Someone that actually cared, someone that he fell in love with, was gone forever as he thought. And of course, after all these exams were done, he got brainwashed by the Diamond Kingdom and was mostly a slave throughout the whole entire journey until the dungeon arc came around when he fought with Asta, and I kind of snapped him out of it and kind of became a good guy, and of course met Fandel, and to the point we are at right now. So Mars, he wants to risk his life to save Fauna. You know, it's his turn to do that because now he could finally see the love of his life here yet again, and he knows that she's being brainwashed, and we see that in this episode where the third eye is actually controlling her. And you can see the same thing about Vito, that if Vito was this kind of powerful dude, or maybe someone knew Vito could even potentially been saved, you know, from that third eye mark. So we see that Fauna this whole entire time that she didn't die, she was being controlled by the Eye of the Midnight Sun, and now it's Mars and Asta working together to save her from the salamander, and before she actually explodes and destroys the witch's forest. This is the same exact move that Vito tried to do during the Underwater Temple arc, but of course Yami defeated him, and now Asta and Mars had to defeat Fauna before time runs out and before they all explode. So that's a really cool backstory, of course, to Mars and his love life, that he really wants to go and save Fauna. And of course, you know, Asta in this moment, completely a badass. And of course, he gives more motivation, you know, to Mars. And Mars actually sees that within Asta as a real knight. No matter the person that you're working with, if it's an enemy or if it's friendly, Asta wants to save that individual because he wants peace all around. He doesn't want a war to start. He doesn't want any enemies in this world. That's why he wants to become, you know, the Wizard King one day, is so that everyone can live in peace. Even further down the anime, you know, if it goes to the Black Clover, you know, we've always had to discover of the elves, the human, you know, betraying the elves, and now it's kind of this war going on right now between, you know, the humans or the elves, and now Asta kind of wants peace within that. And of course, Mars sees that within him, that, you know, this is a true knight. This is the guy to never give up and to always go and to face enemies, because even though Fauna is trying to explode, you know, destroy his forest, Asta still wants to save her so that he can work with Mars. And I just thought that was truly beautiful, and it was well animated as well. This episode was perfect for animation. The flames, the characters, the backstory. This is probably the best animation that we have got for Black Clover yet throughout these episodes. And I just say a round of applause, because I love this part of the manga. I like Mars. I like Fauna for them as characters and individuals. And I'm so glad, like, not even at the part yet. I'm going to talk about the secret part at the ending of this episode, or I guess this review. But, you know, I'm glad they focused so much directly on this episode for their character building, because this is not the last time we're going to see them. There's going to be a lot more down the road. I'm not going to talk more, you know, do the spoilers, but so glad they actually put a good made episode. And this is what Black Clover has to be. If this is what the animation and the story is going to be for Black Clover, and trust me, there's going to be a whole lot more into the story going further into Black Clover, then this is potentially to be the best, you know, anime of 2018. That's putting way too much pressure on it, but seriously, if we get episodes like these, this is exactly why Black Clover is a great anime to watch. When that is all done, of course, we have Mars and Asta saving Fauna. She remembers who Mars is. She kind of takes that seal, that third eye washes away, and now she's back in the real world. And the promise they made so long ago has now been fulfilled, that they want to see the outside world together, and they live happily ever after, and that they're finally back together again. And it's such a good love story. I love it so much. And then finally, after so long, I have been waiting for this moment. We get the ending credits right here, okay? After they say Fauna, that's the end of the episode. But the preview for next episode, ladies and gentlemen, the preview for next episode, the thing that I did not show up, I think I talked about this almost in like every single review of Black Clover, because knowing me, I'm a manga reader, you guys know that, I always talk about this, but we get the moment manga readers have been waiting for a very long time. The moment that anime owners are like, okay, when is this moment happening? Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to say that we are finally getting the Asta moment in next episode. Next episode, ladies and gentlemen, is where shit hits the floor. I'm saying that correctly. If you guys thought this was just the Witch's Forest arc, this is only the beginning. That was the halfway segment. We're going into the crazy segment of Black Clover. We get Asta's huge development next episode, and trust me guys, this is going to be the best part of Black Clover. You know, even though I just said that about Mars and Fauna in this episode, trust me, this gets a whole lot crazy. And I can put an image right here, okay? This is just an image of the preview, and it shows, of course, the episode title and everything like that. But just from this, and manga readers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is directly part of the manga. You know exactly what that implies just from that image and Asta on the floor. And I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say it right there. Next week, I'm so happy. Hopefully they do it right. You know, if it's good animation for this, and especially for the moment we have all been waiting for of course, Asta's huge development, it's going to be even good. And I'm glad that they're going out with a bang. If the Witches arc right here is going to be the final one, and then maybe we have to wait for season 3 or anything like that for next year or 2020 or whatever they do, I'm truly happy about it. Good animation, good story today. The romance between Fauna and, of course, Mars. This episode, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to give it a 10 out of 10. And I cannot wait for more Black Clover, guys. Of course, I'm going to keep watching this episode a lot. But next week, oh, man, it finally begins. But thank you guys all for watching, of course, my review of Black Clover here today, guys. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below how you guys felt of today's episode, and of course subscribe to the channel. That'd be greatly appreciated. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys in the big reveal for next week of Black Clover. Much love, and as always, have yourselves a wonderful day.